What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:34 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from here in the US. So Trump had a phone call with Putin and Zelensky today. Trump said he had a long and productive phone call with Putin. He said, "I discussed with Putin Ukraine, Middle East, energy, and artificial intelligence." Trump said he and Putin agreed to have their teams start negotiations immediately to stop deaths in the Russian-Ukraine war. He also said they agreed to visit each other's countries. Okay, so huge news there. And Putin agreed with Trump that a long-term settlement in Ukraine could be achieved through negotiations, according to a Kremlin spokesman. Very, very interesting. And a Kremlin spokesman said that Putin agreed with Trump that a long-term settlement in Ukraine could be achieved through negotiations. And Trump and Zelensky did have a phone call, or maybe they're still having one after Trump talked to Putin. And Zelensky said that the Russian president is increasing the size of his army and may attack Poland and Lithuania from the territory of Belarus. I've been warning you guys about that for several years. And he also said that an agreement on Ukrainian natural resources was presented by the U.S. Treasury Secretary and may be signed in the coming days. Okay, so the U.S. Treasury Secretary met with Zelensky already. And what's interesting is while the Treasury Secretary was meeting with Zelensky, Russia was bombing Ukraine. And the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth met with the Ukraine Defense Contact Group today. And I want to just mention some of the main points from that meeting. He said the U.S. does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome for a negotiated settlement with Russia. He also said that returning Ukraine to pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective and an illusionary goal. So before 2014 was when Ukraine still had Crimea. Okay, and he also reiterated there won't be any American troops sent to Ukraine, and he said that Ukraine should not rely on the U.S. for the majority of their weapons supplies. And he also said Ukraine's security guarantees should not be provided through NATO membership, but must instead be backed by capable European and non-European troops. Hegseth said that European troops, as discussed for months, would not be deployed to Ukraine as NATO troops. Okay, so he's saying that they would send troops to Ukraine, peacekeepers, but they would not be sent under the banner of NATO, but as individual countries. It's a little bit strange. I don't know how that would actually work out, practically speaking. And looks like Trump secured the release of some American citizens detained in Belarus. One American citizen and two Belarusian nationals that worked for Radio Liberty were released from detention today by the Belarusian government, two White House officials said. White House officials said that the three are currently at the U.S. Embassy in Lithuania, so big news there. And the Ukrainian defense minister met with Pete Hegseth for the first time. And before I continue with the breaking news, I want to mention that I have an app available. It's free. You can download it in the Google Play Store, and it allows me to send out notifications to you outside of social media platforms. So when there's some major breaking news or when I post updates like this one, I can send out updates to your phone directly. And this way you're not reliant on YouTube and other left-wing social media platforms to notify you that I posted something or that I'm going live. So check out my app. The information is in the description below this video. There's a link to the Play Store in the description. You can also just search NYPrepper Emergency Alerts in the Google Play Store. Also, check out my Patreon. YouTube has been shadow banning a lot of breaking news content creators recently, and on my Patreon, I post all of these updates first before I post them here to YouTube or anywhere else. So if you join my Patreon, it's $3 a month. There's no advertisements in the videos at all, and you get priority access to my breaking news updates, and you can also communicate with me. You can DM me. I want to just show you guys all of this activity off the coast of Baja California again. For like the third or fourth day in a row, we have over half a dozen aerial refuelers off the coast of Baja California. There was also an RC-135 rivet joint reconnaissance plane in this area as well last night. And this was last night. You could see a whole bunch here. And right now we have a U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk patrolling the border of Bulgaria and Serbia for the third day in a row. So this is very concerning. It means that maybe Serbia is planning to attack Kosovo. They're basically doing round-the-clock surveillance here, okay, right on the border of Serbia. Very, very concerning. And the president of Ukraine said that Ukraine would offer a territorial swap with Russia in potential peace negotiations, basically stating that Ukraine would return Kursk in exchange for some of Ukraine's territory. And we're now hearing that Russia is declining that offer, saying that they will never discuss swapping Ukrainian territory. And Tulsi Gabbard gained enough votes to be the U.S. Director of National Intelligence. Norway announced that they're going to be giving Ukraine 1.2 billion kroners worth of air defenses. The air defenses will be purchased from the United States. And multiple Norwegian oil platforms shut down in the North Sea recently due to fires. The Norwegian oil company GUNNR shut down production at several oil platforms due to power outages in Karsto. So apparently there were just fires at some switchboard. Sounds like sabotage to me, maybe Russian agents. And Israel has conveyed a message to Hamas that if they adhere to the ceasefire agreement and release 3 hostages on Saturday, then Israel will continue to adhere to the agreement, a senior Israeli official said. And the king of Jordan said to Trump that Jordan rejects the displacement of Gaza residents, Palestinians. So the king of Jordan saying he does not support the relocation of Palestinians out of Gaza. And the Turkish foreign minister said today that Turkey has preparations against Trump's invasion of Gaza. Wow, so what is Turkey going to do? Attack the U.S.? That would be suicidal. And Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, said today that Iran needs to further continue improving their defense sector and that the accuracy of Iranian missiles needs to be improved. Okay, so the Iranian supreme leader doubling down, continuing to build weapons and improve their capabilities at attacking Israel. And Russia launched 120 drones and 7 ballistic missiles at Kiev last night, killing at least 1 civilian and wounding several people, including a baby. And Marco Rubio said he did not consider it possible to predict the timing of the end of the war in Ukraine. He acknowledged that this is a complex war and Washington wants to achieve its conclusion, as a result of which Ukraine will remain a sovereign and independent country and the conflict will not resume later. And Egypt has reportedly closed the door to any further discussions with the U.S. regarding the displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, with Egyptian officials having presented several plans for rebuilding Gaza without any kind of displacement, at least one of these plans having been delivered to the Trump administration. Cairo is said to be outraged by statements from both Israel and the U.S. calling for the total removal of the Palestinian population from Gaza, sending a message to Washington demanding clarification on recent comments made by U.S. President Trump, stating that sanctions could be imposed against Egypt if they refuse to accept Palestinian refugees. And the Israeli military is preparing for a long stay in Syria, according to Mariv Online. The Israeli army took over Syrian army outposts and installed Israeli technological gear. And the leader of Yemen's Houthis has declared readiness to escalate military actions against Israel should the ceasefire deal in Gaza collapse. And a German government source says the cabinet has approved in principle Germany's participation in an EU police mission in the Gaza Strip. Wow. And I want to just mention that this morning we had almost 40 emergency action messages. These are nuclear codes that are sent out to U.S. nuclear forces, giving them instructions on where to point their missiles. Okay, their nuclear attack options, they're constantly updating them, and they have to send out these codes to the subs, to the silos, and to the bomber force so they can update their targeting information. And there were almost 40 of them this morning, which is extremely high. That's very, very unusual, and it could mean that something is going on or something happened this morning. Okay, remember just the other day, Russia flew a fighter jet into Poland's territorial airspace. This has never happened before. Okay, Russia literally flew a fighter jet into NATO territorial airspace. Okay, and the mainstream media is not covering it. People on YouTube are not covering it. I'm basically like the only one standing out here by myself, warning people about how serious that is. Okay, and nobody cares. And Ukraine will be purchasing Russian-made nuclear reactors from Bulgaria to complete the construction of 2 more power units at the Khmelnytsky nuclear power plant. So Ukraine is expanding one of their existing power plants because, remember, Russia took over one of their massive power plants and is refusing to return it. So they're now having to create more nuclear power plants to generate the electricity they used to be able to generate. And 2 U.S. Navy ships passed through the Taiwan Strait from Monday to Wednesday. China said it had dispatched forces to monitor the transit. So that is a huge statement by the U.S. to China. And the Chinese spy balloon that crossed the U.S. carried American technology that could have enabled it to spy on Americans. The balloon carried technology from at least 5 U.S. firms. The discovery of a satellite communication module, sensors, and other technology from at least 5 American firms underlines the failures of U.S. efforts to restrict exports of technology that could have military uses to main adversary China, as well as to countries such as Russia and Iran. A Chinese patent reviewed by Newsweek describes a communication system for exactly such a balloon as the one that crossed America, based on using a satellite transceiver from a U.S. company that the balloon's controllers in China would use to communicate with it, and that would send data back, and that is easily available online. And New York State reported its first case of the rare Clade 1b strain of the monkeypox. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. Wanted to report this to you guys. Trump and Putin having their first phone call. Trump and Zelensky having a phone call. Pete Hegseth in Europe right now. Massive number of nuclear attack options this morning. We have recon on the border of Serbia. We have massive reconnaissance and refueling activities off the coast of Mexico. So get prepared, guys. I'm going to continue to monitor the situation, and I will be back later on if necessary. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare, or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.